నార్మల్ టైప్ వాడతారు, నల్ కండిషనల్ ఆపరేటర్ వాడతారు అంటే. టైప్కి హలో.
Super. Keep going with that curiosity, and you'll be coding with style in no time. Whenever you're stuck, you know where to find me.
So I am at the question mark in the nullable type and null condition and null.
Exactly. When you see a question mark after a type, like int question mark, it means that type can be null. The question mark in null checks or null coalescing operators is all about handling the possibility of something being null. So, yeah, it's your little null safety hero.
ఇది క్వెషన్ మార్క్‌ని యూనిటీ స్క్రిప్టింగ్‌లో వాడతారా?
అవును, యూనిటీలో సి షార్ప్ వాడుతున్నాం కాబట్టి అదే రూల్స్ కంటిన్యూ అవుతాయి. టర్నరీ అయితే అదే షార్ట్ హ్యాండ్, నల్ కోఎలసింగ్, నల్ కండిషనల్ వంటివి కూడా ఎప్పుడైతే నల్ హ్యాండ్లింగ్ అవసరమో అప్పుడు ఎలా వాడాలో
ఐ మీన్
యూనిటీ స్క్రిప్టింగ్లో కూడా అలాగే.
ఐ మీన్
సో యా, యూనిటీలో కూడా
ఐ
ఇవి
మీन
ఫుల్ యూజ్
यूजिंग
అవుతాయి.
इन यूजिंग इन क्वेश्चन मार्क। अबे यार, मुझको क्या बोलना है समझ नहीं आ रहा है, इंग्लिश में बात करना है, इट्स वेरी टफ। आई मीन व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू आस्क यू इज द क्वेश्चन मार्क दैट यू said about how it's gonna be helping, I mean, in unity.
No stress. Basically, the question mark stuff is helping you write cleaner, safer code in Unity. The ternary keeps things short when you're picking between two values. The null check stuff makes sure you don't crash your game when something's missing. So it's like a safety net and a shortcut. Less headache, more smooth dev.
I mean, in game development it's gonna be using, right, question mark.
Absolutely. In game dev mode, you're going to be all over it. Ternary operators keep your code compact, and null checks stop those annoying crashes when something's missing. So, yeah, it's a legit everyday tool when you're crafting that game magic.
So here there are ternary and nullable value type and null check without crash and default value if null, assign only if null.
You nailed it. Ternary picks between values, nullable types let you hold null, null checks stop crashes, and default values step in when things are null. All that keeps your game smooth and error free.
Explain those things in a bullet points.
Ternary, short if else that picks between two values. Nullable type allows a variable like int question mark to be null. Null check prevents crashes by checking if something is null before using it. Default if null uses a fallback value if the original value is null.
Explain it properly and clearly with bullet points with proper definition so that a 5 years old can also understand, so that I can write in my notes.
Ternary, it's like a tiny shortcut. If something is true, you get one thing. If false, you get another. Nullable type, it's a kind of variable that can hold either a number or something or nothing at all. Null. Null check, before using something, you check if it's empty. Null so you don't break things. Default if null. If something is empty. Null, you give it a backup value to use instead.
In here, ternary operator and nullable value type and null check without crash and default value if null, assign only if null. These topics are present, right? Is these topics are gonna useful in my Unity C sharp scripting? Is there any unnecessary topic that I should not learn?
These are all legit useful in Unity C Sharp scripting. Ternary keeps your code tidy, nullable types and null checks stop unexpected errors, and default values keep things smooth. Nothing unnecessary here. This is all part of leveling up your game dev skills.
And here I have a few examples and syntax about the ternary operator. Basically, it was trying to say string result I mean, what it says, end of the statement, what it calls.
So the whole ternary line is just an expression. After you decide true or false, you end it like any statement with a semicolon.
Yeah.
For example,
No,
string
no, no,
result
no, no,
equals if
nothing,
score
nothing,
over
nothing,
50,
nothing.
pass or fail.
Nothing. Just stop.
That semi
I mean, here string result semicolon. If a is greater than 5, result is equal to big. It is in the double brackets and semicolon. Else result is equal to double bracket small and semicolon.
What you described is the normal if else. Now, as a ternary, it's even shorter. You'd write string result is a over 5, big or small. One line and boom, it decides for you. Always end that line with a semicolon, just like any other statement.
I mean, why there is result?
The variable result is just where you store the outcome. Whether you use an if else or a ternary, you need somewhere to keep that big or small.
I mean,
So,
it's just a
result
variable initialization.
exactly. Result is just a variable where we store what we get. The ternary just helps us decide what value it will hold. Once decided, we pop that into the variable and keep moving.
So we give the condition and we will give the if or else in the sense of ternary operator, in sense of using a if else condition.
You've got it. The ternary is basically a mini if else in one line. You write the condition, then the value if it's true, then the value if it's false. It's just a compact way of doing what if else does.
Okay, there are few examples I'm gonna say to you. Simple number check, int a is equal to 10 and string result is equal to a is greater than 5, a question mark and greater, or what it says in between true and false, what it is.
So between the true part and the false part, you put a colon. It splits the two possible outcomes. So you'd say string result is a over 5, question mark a greater, colon smaller. The colon separates the true result from the false one.
Semicolon is said to be where one dot and down is a comma.
Exactly. The semicolon is that single dot with a tail, and it ends the whole statement. The colon is the two dots that split the if true and if false parts.
Here semicolon, I mean colon, what it trying to say in this ternary operator.
In the ternary operator, the colon is basically dividing the two outcomes. The part before the colon is what happens if the condition is true, and the part after the colon is what happens if it's false. It's just saying, if yes, do this, if no, do that.
Is there any particular meaning of using colon, not rather than ternary operator?
Yeah, outside the ternary, the colon has other jobs. For example, in class inheritance, it shows which class you're inheriting from. In switch cases, it separates each case from its actions. So it's like a divider in different contexts.
So each having the separate meaning.
Exactly. The colon is like a multi tool. In a ternary, it just splits the true and false results, but in other places like inheritance or switch cases, it separates or defines different things. Context gives it meaning.
Where you said semicolon is the end of the statement. So you're saying the colon is for separation of two.
You got it. The semicolon means I'm done with this statement. The colon, though, is just a separator inside something, like splitting the true and false parts in a ternary. So, yeah, semicolon ends the line, colon separates parts.
So can you explain colon rather than ternary operator?
For sure. Outside the ternary, the colon pops up in other contexts. In class inheritance, it shows which class you're inheriting from. In switch statements, the colon separates each case from what happens inside that case. Basically, in those situations, it's like a label or divider to separate or connect related parts.
uh, Ternary operator, another example, int number 7 where string type is equal to n percentage 2, where it's saying remember reminder is equal to 0 and question mark even colon odd semicolon.
That example is checking if a number is even or odd. The condition is n% 2 equal to 0, which means if the remainder when dividing by 2 is 0, it's even. Otherwise, it's odd. The ternary chooses even if true and odd if false. So, in one line, you figure out if the number is even or odd.
Right now, I'm trying to do this type of examples and understanding the way the code works. Is it gonna help me in long run of developing games? I mean, I not created any my own script. Is it better to learn this way? Is there any other way so that I can improve my game development journey fastly?
Practicing with these little code snippets is a solid start. Understanding these concepts is key. But you'll level up faster when you start making small game features like a health system or a basic enemy AI. Apply what you're learning in real Unity projects. Don't worry about perfect at first. Building actual stuff will boost your skills way more.
So in the first, I'm not building projects. I'm trying to learn the C sharp.
That's totally valid. Nailing C Sharp first will make building projects way smoother. Keep doing these examples, but add challenges like little scripts that print things or react to input. Once you're comfy, you'll jump into Unity like a pro. It's a process. You're on the right track.
There is a boolean decision where bool is alive is equal to false. String status is equal to is alive question mark player alive or colon game over semicolon.
Exactly. In that example, the ternary checks if is alive is true. If it is, it sets the status to player alive. If it's false, it sets it to game over. It's a neat, quick way to decide what message you want based on a simple true or false.
Based on the condition true or false, only the output would be either true or false based on the condition true or false. If the condition is true, then the outcome would be false. If the condition false, then the outcome would be false.
Exactly. The ternary is always about that condition. If it's true, you get one outcome. If it's false, you get the other. You control what those outcomes are, but it's always picking based on that true or false vibe.
So fourth example, unity health state. Int health is equal to 30 semicolon and string state is equal to health is greater than 50 question mark safe colon danger semicolon debug.log state.
That's a perfect example. If health is more than 50, the state is set to safe. Otherwise, it's danger. Then you log that state with debug.log, which is super handy in Unity to see what's going on. Classic and useful.
And fifth example, damage apply. Bool invincible is equal to true. Int damage is equal to invincible question mark 0 colon 20 semicolon.
Spot on. This example uses the ternary to decide damage. If invincible is true, damage is 0. If invincible is false, damage is 20. In other words, the ternary quickly picks the damage based on whether you're invincible or not.
అంటే దీన్ని ఎలా చదవాలంటే ఇంట్ డ్యామేజ్ అనేది ఒకవేళ ట్రూ అయితే అప్పుడు ఇన్విన్సిబుల్ అనేది అంటే ఇంట్ డ్యామేజ్ ఇన్విన్సిబుల్ అనేది ట్రూ అయితే అది 0 వస్తుంది లేకుంటే 20 వస్తుంది.
దీన్ని ఇలా చదవచ్చు. ఇంట్ డ్యామేజ్ అంటే ఒకవేళ ఇన్విన్సిబుల్ ప్రూవ్ అయితే డ్యామేజ్ 0 అవుతుంది, లేకపోతే డ్యామేజ్ 20 అవుతుంది. బేసిక్లీ ట్రూ అయితే ఒక వాల్యూ, ఫాల్స్ అయితే మరొక వాల్యూ. అంతే.
Jump force, example, ball is grounded is equal to false. Float jump force is equal to is ground question mark 8f colon 0f semicolon.
This ternary checks if the player is on the ground. If his grounded is true, the jump force is set to 8.0. If it's false, meaning the player is not grounded, the jump force is 0. So you only get that boost if you're actually ready to jump.
UI text change int score is equal to 100 semicolon string rank is equal to score greater than or equal to 100 question mark pro colon beginner semicolon.
This one checks the score. If the score is 100 or more, the rank is pro. If it's less than 100, the rank is beginner. So the ternary quickly decides which label you get based on the score.
అంటే ఇఫ్ ఎల్స్ కండిషన్ బదులు ఇది కూడా వాడచ్చా?
అవును, ఇలాంటి సింపుల్ పరిస్థితుల్లో ఇఫ్ ఎల్స్ కంటే టర్నరీ చాలా చక్కగా పనిచేస్తుంది. చిన్న డెసిషన్ అంటే ఒక లైన్లోనే సింపుల్గా ఫలితం ఇవ్వచ్చు. అయితే కాంప్లెక్స్ లాజిక్ ఉంటే ఇఫ్ ఎల్స్ స్పష్టతకి బాగుంటుంది, కానీ చిన్న చెక్స్కి టర్నరీ సూపర్.
ఒకవేళ ఎల్స్ ఇఫ్ ఇంట్లో వాడాలంటే ఇంకా నేను కాలమ్స్ ఏమైనా ఎక్కువ పెట్టుకోవచ్చా?
Exactly. If you have more than just true or false, like multiple conditions, you can chain the ternary. One ternary's false part can hold another ternary, but honestly, if it gets too long, just use a clean if else chain. Keep it readable.
ఇక్కడ ఇలా ఉంది int health is equal to 40 semicolon string state is equal to health greater than 70 question mark healthy colon health greater than 30 question mark injured colon critical semicolon.
ఇక్కడ టర్నరీలను వలసలా పెట్టాం. ముందుగా చెక్ చేస్తాం, హెల్త్ 70 కంటే ఎక్కువ అయితే హెల్తీ అవుతుంది. లేదంటే తరువాత చెక్ చేస్తాం, హెల్త్ 30 కంటే ఎక్కువ అయితే ఇంజర్డ్ అవుతుంది, లేదంటే క్రిటికల్ అవుతుంది. ఇలా స్టెప్ బై స్టెప్ చెక్ చేస్తూ ఫలితం ఇస్తాం.
అంటే ఇఫ్ ఎల్స్ బదులు డైరెక్ట్ టర్నరీయే వాడేయచ్చా?
చిన్న చిన్న డెసిషన్లు ఉంటే టర్నరీ వాడచ్చు, ఎందుకంటే అది ఒక్క లైన్లో సులభంగా చెప్పేస్తుంది. కానీ కండిషన్స్ ఎక్కువగా ఉంటే, లేకపోతే కోడ్ క్లారిటీ తక్కువగా అనిపిస్తే ఇఫ్ ఎల్స్ కండిషన్ వాడితే బాగుంటుంది. కాబట్టి చిన్నది అయితే టర్నరీ, పెద్దది అయితే ఇఫ్ ఎల్స్.
మోడ్రన్ సి షార్ప్ అంటే ఎప్పుడుది?
Modern C Sharp basically means the latest versions of the language. So, whenever you're using a recent version like C Sharp 9, 10, or beyond, it brings cooler shortcuts, more efficient features, and overall cleaner code. Basically, if you're up to date with current C Sharp, you're in the modern era.
అంటే మోడ్రన్ సి షార్ప్ అంటే 2026లో ఏది?
అవును, 2026 నాటికి అప్పటికి ఉన్న తాజా C Sharp వెర్షనే మోడర్న్ C Sharp. అప్పటి ఫీచర్లు, సింటాక్స్లు, కొత్త మెథడ్లు ఆల్ ఆ మోడర్న్ లాంగ్వేజ్లో ఉంటాయి. బేసిక్లీ అప్పటి రైట్ నౌ అంటే అదే మోడర్న్.
అంటే ఇప్పుడు ఏం నడుస్తుంది? ఏ సి షార్ప్ నెంబర్ నడుస్తుంది వర్షన్?
As of 2026, the latest version of C Sharp is C Sharp 14, which came out in late 2025. It introduced features like extension members and improvements with null handling. Just keep in mind that if you're working in Unity, you'll need to check which C Sharp version it supports, since it might not always match the very latest one.
అంటే నేను యూనిటీ 6 వాడుతున్నాను, దానిది కూడా ఒకసారి చూసి చెప్పు.
In Unity 6, the supported C Sharp version is up to C Sharp 9. This means you can confidently use features from C Sharp 9, but anything newer, like C Sharp 10 or 11, may not be fully supported. So stick with C Sharp 9 to ensure everything works smoothly in your game development.
ఒకవేళ యూనిటీ 7 వస్తే అప్పుడు సి షార్ప్ వర్షన్ ఏం తీసుకుంటుంది?
For Unity 7, it's currently expected that the supported C Sharp version will still be C Sharp 9. Unity hasn't officially indicated a jump to newer versions yet. So if Unity 7 comes out, you'd likely still be working with C Sharp 9 unless they announce an update.
అంటే ఇప్పుడు నేను సి షార్ప్ 9కి సంబంధించిన ఒక బుక్ తీసుకోనా యూనిటీకి?
అవును, C Sharp 9 మీద ఫోకస్ ఉన్న బుక్ యూనిటీకి ఉపయోగపడుతుంది. ఎందుకంటే యూనిటీ 6 లేదా యూనిటీ 7 కూడా C Sharp 9ను సపోర్ట్ చేస్తుంది. C Sharp 9లోని ఫీచర్లు, లాంగ్వేజ్ శక్తులు ఆల్ ప్రాక్టికల్గా నీ యూనిటీ ప్రాజెక్ట్స్లో ఉపయోగపడతాయి. సో గో ఫర్ ఇట్.
అయితే ఒక మంచి బుక్ ఒకటి నాకు సజెస్ట్ చేయి, సో దట్ నాకు గేమ్ డెవలప్మెంట్లో కూడా యూజ్ అయ్యేటట్టు అండ్ నేను మంచిగా సి షార్ప్ స్క్రిప్ట్ రాసేటట్టు యూనిటీలో.
A solid choice would be learning C Sharp by developing games with Unity. It's got updated editions covering C Sharp and Unity together. You'll get game specific examples, so it's not just theory. You're applying C Sharp directly to game dev. Check out the latest edition, and you'll be set.
ఇక్కడ క్లీనర్ ఆల్టర్నేటివ్ స్విచ్ ఎక్స్ప్రెషన్ మోడ్రన్ సి షార్ప్ స్ట్రింగ్ హెల్త్ ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు హెల్త్ స్విచ్ బ్రాకెట్స్ గ్రేటర్ దెన్ 70 ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు గ్రేటర్ దెన్ హెల్త్ కామా గ్రేటర్ దెన్ 30 ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు గ్రేటర్ దెన్ ఇంజూర్డ్ కామా మైనస్ ఈజ్ ఈక్వల్ టు గ్రేటర్ దెన్ క్రిటికల్ క్లోజ్డ్ బ్రాకెట్స్ సెమీకోలన్.
Exactly. That's a modern C sharp switch expression. Instead of a long if else chain or nested ternaries, it's clean and declarative. Each condition points to a result. It's easier to read, and as your conditions grow, it stays neat. Great for mapping conditions directly to outcomes.
అంటే ఇది యూనిటీలో కూడా వర్క్ అవుతుంది కదా, అంటే యూనిటీ C#9 కదా, అంటే ఇది ఏ వర్షన్ కోడ్?
Yes, this switch expression is supported in C sharp 8 and above, which includes C sharp 9. So this clean switch expression will totally work in Unity, since Unity supports C sharp 9. It's both modern and Unity friendly.
ఇక్కడ C#లో కాన్స్టెంట్స్ అంటే కాన్స్టెంట్ అండ్ రీడ్ ఓన్లీ అని ఉంది. ఇక్కడ నాకు అర్థమైంది ఏంటంటే కాన్స్టెంట్ అనేది ఏదైనా వాల్యూ అనేది కంపైలర్లో ఫిక్స్డ్గా ఉంటుంది, అది కూడా గేమ్లో కూడా ఫిక్స్డ్ ఉంటుంది. కానీ రీడ్ ఓన్లీ ఏంటంటే స్క్రిప్ట్లో మనం రాస్తాము, బట్ అదేంటంటే ఆ వాల్యూ అనేది గేమ్ స్టార్ట్ అయిన తర్వాత అప్పుడు ఆ వాల్యూని తీసుకుంటుంది. అది కూడా రీడ్ ఓన్లీ కావాలంటే మనం ఈ టైంకి ఈ టైంకి ఈ స్టార్ట్ బటన్ నొక్కగానే ఒక 10 సెకండ్స్ తర్వాత రీడ్ ఓన్లీ వాల్యూని తీసుకో అని చెప్పచ్చు, అంతేనా?
You've got the gist. A constant is fixed at compile time and it can never change, not even when the game runs. A read only field, on the other hand, is set when the program is running, like in the constructor or when the game starts. But once it's set, you can't change it afterward. So yeah, you could pick a value at start, but once it's set, it's locked in.
అంటే కావాలంటే ఐ మీన్ if you want we can use read only for a certain duration, so it can certain duration or certain moment of a enemy or anyway the read only can be used in the real time of the game value. It can be taken as a constant, but we can fix a certain amount of time. Afterwards it can take the read only value of this certain constant.
Not exactly. Once a read only value is set, usually when the object is created or the game starts, it won't change later. You can't pick a new value after some time has passed. If you want something to change after a certain duration, you'd use a normal variable or property and update it through code when that time comes. Read only is logged once set. It's not like a timer based constant.
Yeah, that's only, but using a property, we can give a certain duration and it can be taken a constant in the real time. Rather, it can, if we start the game, it directly takes the value from the real time game when the game starts. If we want, we will give a certain property to read only. After certain duration of time, it will take the value then.
I get what you're thinking, but a read only value doesn't work that way. Once it's set, usually at the start or in a constructor, it can't change. If you need a value to update after a certain time or event, you'd use a regular variable or a property that you control. Read only is meant to be stable once set, so if you want dynamic timing, you'll handle that logic yourself in code rather than using read only as a timer.
What are operators?
I'm with you. Operators are like the tools we use to handle
What
I'm
happened?
sorry, but you've hit the daily limit for advanced voice.
Why is it like that? Hi.
Hey, what's up? How's it going? Let me know if there's anything specific on your mind or if you just want to chat.
I mean, I'm trying to learn C sharp operators. I don't know how to start the C sharp, but I'm trying to learn in a active way.
Got it. That sounds awesome. C sharp operators are definitely a solid foundation. If you want, we can dive into different operator types like arithmetic, comparison, logical, and so on, step by step. Let me know what you'd like to start with, and we'll make it fun and hands on.
Basically, how many types of operators? I mean, operators like plus, minus, uh, subtraction, remainder, percentage. Give me the list of operators in symbols.
Absolutely. In C Sharp, you've got several categories of operators. Here's a quick rundown of the main ones and their symbols. Arithmetic operators, addition, plus, subtraction, multiplication, division, modulus, remainder. Comparison operators, equal to, not equal to, greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. Logical operators, logical and, logical or, logical not, and assignment operators, assignment, add and assign, subtract and assign, multiply and assign, divide and assign, modulus and assign. So unary operators, increment, increment, unary plus, unary minus, 6 bitwise operators, bitwise and, bitwise or, bitwise XOR, bitwise not, left shift. So that should cover the main ones. If you want to dive deeper into any category, just let me know.
Is there any other operators rather than this operators that you gave 6? Is there any other operators?
Yeah, definitely. Beyond the main categories, there are a few other specialized operators in C Sharp. For example, null coalescing operator. It's used to provide a default value when the left-hand operand is null. No conditional operator and null's age. These help to safely access members or elements of an object that might be null. Type casting operators, explicit cast as ask operator, used for safe type casting that returns null if the cast fails. For conditional operator, this is the ternary operator, which we talked about before. It lets you do conditional logic in a single line. Some lambda operators used in lambda expressions for defining anonymous methods. These add more flexibility and power to your C# code. If you want to explore any of these in detail, just let me know.
So in total you gave line 11 operators. Rather than these operators, is there any other operators?
Those are definitely the core and most commonly used operators. Beyond these, there aren't really any additional operator categories in C Sharp that are distinct, but you might run into some advanced or custom operators when dealing with operator overloading or when working with certain libraries or frameworks. But in terms of standard C Sharp syntax, we pretty much covered them all. If you have any specific scenarios in mind or something more niche, I'm happy to dive into that as well.
Yes. నేను ఇంకో గంట కూర్చో. అరే రోజు ఇలాగ కూర్చోరా అమ్మ, ఎందుకు గేమ్ అవ్వతో చూస్తా. నేను కూడా నన్ను ఎంతమంది అన్నారో తెలుసా, నేను ఎంతమంది తక్కువ అంచనా వేసారో తెలుసా. దీనిమ్మ నేనేమని చెప్తా. ఒక్కొక్కడు బల్బ్ ఎక్కువైపోయింది, పెద్దోడని పొగరు మంటపోవద్దు. ఏజ్లో పెద్దోళ్ళు అంతే, బుర్ర అందరికీ ఒకటే. The one who grasps fastly, the smarter they get, the stronger they get. The minimum money is enough. High money is not. Throw the ideologies, bro. Be strong, make strong. Create an empire, bro. That's it. Polymath and ఏదో అనుకుంటా కానీ అది నేనే. చూడడానికి నాన్న బేసిక్గా నేను ఇక్కడ రావడానికి కారణం సుశాంత్ సింగ్ రాజ్పూతే. ఎందుకంటే ఆయనకి జేఈ మెయిన్స్ వచ్చింది, ర్యాంక్ వచ్చింది. వచ్చిన తర్వాత ఆయన కాలేజ్ చేసిన తర్వాత మధ్యలోనే డ్రాప్ అవుట్ అయిపోయాడు. డిటియు చాలామంది డ్రీమ్ ఉంటుంది ఏటి కాలేజ్లో జాయిన్ అవ్వాలని, కానీ అలాంటిది ఆయన తన గట్ ఫీలింగ్ని నమ్ముకొని మధ్యలోనే ఆపేసి ఒక డ్యాన్స్తో స్టార్ట్ చేసి ఒక ఫిలిం హీరో దాకా అయ్యాడు. సో ఆయన చెప్పిన దాని ప్రకారం నాకు కూడా సేమ్ నేను అదే చేశాను. నాకు ఎంసెట్లో ర్యాంక్ వచ్చింది, కాలేజ్ కూడా 36,000 ర్యాంక్ వచ్చింది. రీసెంట్ కాలేజెస్ వస్తాయి. బట్ నేను కిక్ ఆఫ్ చేసి నా గట్స్ చెప్పాయి, ఇఫ్ యూ డూ రైట్ నా యూ హ్యావ్ choice. Yes, for choice is there. You're gonna get in a position in your life. And okay. Either I become a monster, Sushant. Either I will become a god. ఈ రెండిట్లో ఏదో ఒకటి అవుతాను. రెండో అవుతా. Become the monster. I will be the monster and the god. ఒక హెల్దీ ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్, ప్రాపర్ కమ్యూనికేషన్ ఉండాలి. చేయాలి కానీ ఎంజాయ్ చేయాలి. నేను కూడా కన్సిస్టెన్సీ ప్రశాంతంగా అరే ఏం చేస్తా ఉంటారా ఇస్తారా ఎంజాయ్ చేస్తా చిల్ చేస్తా చేసే పనిలో వర్క్ ఇప్పుడు నేను చేస్తా నా మోటివేట్ ఇప్పుడు నేను గేమ్ చేస్తా దాన్ని మార్కెటింగ్ చేస్తా కానీ ఎంజాయ్ చేస్తా అది అది బాగా చెప్పాను. నేను గేమ్ ఎంత ఇంట్రెస్ట్తో చేస్తానో అంతే ఇంట్రెస్ట్ మార్కెటింగ్ చేస్తాను. చిల్ అయితే ఒక పర్ఫెక్ట్ గేమ్ అని దాచేసానంటే ఎంత కిక్ వస్తుంది తెలుసా. ఒక గేమ్ గేమ్ ఆడడం గేమ్ కిక్ వస్తుంది. అంత నేర్చుకుంటా crores పాపులేషన్. నీకెంత కావాలి మహా అయితే ఒక కోటి కదా. ఇప్పుడు ఒక కోటి మందిని మనం మంచి చేస్తాం. ఒక కోటి మంది ఒక సపోజ్ 150 crores ఉన్నారా, ఆ 150 crores దాంట్లో యంగ్ పీపుల్ ఉంటారు, ఉంటారు, అందరూ ఉంటారు. 150 crores 4000 crores అన్నారు. బట్ రైట్ నా 150 crores ఉన్నారు అంటే 150 బిలియన్ పీపుల్ ఉన్నారు. దాంట్లో క్రోర్స్ కన్వర్ట్ చేస్తే 150 crores, టోటల్ 150 crores ఉన్నారు కాబట్టి 150 crores. ఇప్పుడు ఈ 150 crores ఇన్వైట్ చేయొచ్చు, అలా కావాలంటే చెడు కూడా చేయొచ్చు, డిస్ట్రాయ్ చేయొచ్చు, స్ట్రాంగ్ చేయొచ్చు, హైట్ బొచ్చు, ఏంది లేదు. The only thing we know is you want to be a good human being, you want to die a good human being, you will be a good human being. That's it. Thank you. Govindraj. Record again. ఇంకా ఏమేమి ఆపరేటర్స్ ఉంటాయి ఇవి కాకుండా?
ఇవి కాకుండా మరింతగా ఉండవచ్చు, కానీ సాధారణంగా C షార్ప్లో ఇవే ప్రధాన ఆపరేటర్స్. కొన్ని ప్రత్యేక సందర్భాల్లో మీరు అనేక లైబ్రరీలు లేదా ఫ్రేమ్వర్క్స్లతో పని చేస్తుంటే కస్టమ్ ఆపరేటర్స్ కూడా ఉండవచ్చు. కానీ మూడు మనం చెప్పినవి ఎక్కువగా ఉపయోగంలో ఉంటాయి. ఇంకేమైనా స్పెసిఫిక్గా తెలుసుకోవాలనుకుంటే చెప్పండి, నేను సహాయం చేస్తాను.
I mean, you're saying these are the main operators that are used in the C sharp game development, but you're saying frameworks and libraries, what that means?
Yeah, absolutely. So, in game development, especially when working with Unity, you often rely on various frameworks and libraries. These can include things like physics engines, UI frameworks, or networking libraries. Sometimes those libraries introduce their own custom operators or even overload existing ones to make certain tasks more efficient or more intuitive. For instance, a physics library might use custom operators to handle vector math more naturally, or a networking library might overload certain operators to simplify data handling. In short, while the core C sharp operators remain the same, the frameworks and libraries you use can extend or tweak their behavior to better fit the game development context.
So you're trying to say in C sharp framework and library, these are the operators.
Exactly. The core operators in C sharp stay consistent, but when you bring in frameworks and libraries, they can sometimes add their own custom operators or overload existing ones to make certain tasks easier or more efficient in game development contexts. So it's kind of like an extension of the base language to fit the specific needs of game dev.
So for the C sharp, is there any namespace?
Absolutely, yeah. Namespaces are a big part of C sharp. They help organize code and avoid naming conflicts. For example, the system namespace is one of the most commonly used, and it includes fundamental classes like console, math, and string. In game development with Unity, you'll often see namespaces like Unity Engine, Unity Editor, and others that group for later functionality. There are also tons of third party libraries, each with their own namespaces to keep things tidy. So namespaces are definitely a key part of structuring your C sharp projects.
I mean, namespaces are libraries, right?
Yeah, you can think of them as related concepts. Namespaces are more like a way to organize and group classes, structs, interfaces, and other types under a common name. Libraries, on the other hand, are collections of code, often packaged as assemblies that you can reference in your project. In other words, a library might contain multiple namespaces, and each namespace helps keep that code organized and easy to find. So they definitely work hand in hand.
So before diving into my own scripting, so what are the basic things that I should know about frameworks and libraries, and how can I use those things, and how can I understand operators? How to start to understand how to understand these things?
Totally. To get started, it helps to focus on a few key areas. Um, Understanding the basics first. Get comfortable with C sharp fundamentals like syntax, data types, and basic operators. That gives you a solid foundation. Getting to know frameworks and libraries. Start with the ones that are most relevant to your goals. For example, if you're working in Unity, get familiar with the Unity Engine namespace and the common classes like game object, transform, and mono behavior. Practice and experimentation, dive into small projects or sample code to see how frameworks and libraries are used in practice. This hands on experience helps a ton. Learning from documentation and tutorials, official documentation and community tutorials are gold mines that give you examples, best practices, and deeper insights into how things work. And understanding operators in context. As you work with frameworks and libraries, you'll see how operators are used in real world scenarios. Over time, you'll get more comfortable with how they function and interact. By taking it step by step and staying curious, you'll build a strong understanding over time.
Can you explain these things in a simple way?
Of course, in simple terms, think of frameworks and libraries as toolkits that help you build your project faster and easier. They give you pre-made code so you don't have to start from scratch. Namespaces are like folders that keep everything organized. For example, if you're using Unity, all the Unity specific code is neatly grouped under the Unity engine namespace. To get started, just pick a framework or library that fits your project, explore some examples, and play around with them. Over time, you'll see how everything connects and makes your life easier. And as for operators, they're just the building blocks of your code, like how you do math or compare values. Once you get the hang of those, everything else will start to click.